Hi, this is Joe again with another movie review. And I posted this video yesterday, this review of this movie, and I wasn't satisfied with it because I was interrupted at the end of it. So I'm going to redo it and repost it. And this is a movie that's has been a long time coming, especially for diehard Star Wars fans. And I consider myself a Star Wars fan, and I'm one of those crazies who camp out for weeks and months on end to see it. Excuse me. But I am a Star Wars fan. And this past December, this movie came out and became the biggest money-making movie in U.S. history. And that is, of course, Star Wars Episode 7: The Force Awakens. And this is the actual DVD, at least the U.S. copy of it. It came out a week ago. And of course, this is a movie that's been eagerly awaited for. And of course, there are several problems with this movie, but hopefully, if we get to the end of this thing, uh, against those problems. Of course, actually, the first thing is, of course, it reunites the original cast in this movie, which, of course, a lot of the diehard fans are waiting for because, unfortunately, you didn't have the original cast in the prequels, and that was what, of course, in episode 1, 2, and 3. And of course, what a lot of the diehard fans were complaining about is that there was no Han Solo, there was no Chewie. Well, Chewie did make an appearance in episode 3, but you had no Princess Leia, you had no Luke Skywalker, no Mark Hamill, no Carrie Fisher, and no Harrison Ford, who were the three big actors who had long careers after the success of Star Wars. And of course, when George Lucas went back and did the backstory on Darth Vader, which was the original plot, was to do the whole thing with Darth Vader and make Darth Vader backstory. They were outraged that you didn't have the original characters who became so beloved by Star Wars fans, including myself. Uh, so, many years later, George Lucas, about 4 or 5 years ago, sold Lucasfilm to Disney, and that gave Disney the opportunity to say, "Hey, since we own the franchise rights to Star Wars, let's make a new Star Wars film." And they brought in J.J. Abrams, who of course was fresh off rebooting the Star Trek franchise, to do a reboot, a sequel to Star Wars. And of course, he co-wrote the story with Lawrence Kasdan and another writer, and to make the Force Awakens. And of course, this movie, of course, does take place over 30 years after Return of the Jedi. Of course, actually 32 years after Return of the Jedi. And of course, one of the main complaints is, of course, the actors are, of course, some 32 years older, and people were throwing a hissy fit. Oh my God! Look how old Carrie Fisher got! Oh my God! And which is, of course, one of the complaints I had. But and to me, it was more like cameos with Harrison Ford, Chewie, and Princess Leia, who is now a general. They were all were pretty much cameos in this film. Including C-3PO and R2-D2. But the main plot story is this stormtrooper named Finn, who decided to be a traitor to the First Order. Now, the First Order, that was also mentioned in the original books that came out in the early 90s, which were the first Star Wars books that came out after the movies. They were from the old Empire, when the old Empire was. The troops and the leaders from the old Empire who survived the war, or the Civil War with the rebels. The ones who survived the original war from the original trilogy decided to make their own little group called the First Order. And they were attacking the New Republic. And of course, were led by Princess Leia and, of course, Luke Skywalker, who was the so-called only Jedi, even though Princess Leia technically is a Jedi herself. But she never did any Jedi stuff in this movie, which I can't understand why. Uh, which is, of course, one of the problems that I just realized now, one of the problems I have with this movie. Uh, but of course, the other problem of the movie, the main plot is, of course, this film copies for like the third time in the Star Wars universe. 3 out of the 7 films have the exact same plot. It is the Empire, or in this case, the First Order, made another Death Star. But instead of being just weapons on the ship, they enhance the power, the power of the sun, and whatever system they have me attacking, and they use the power of the sun. They absorb the power of the sun like a solar guns, and they destroy the planets, and that's it. Uh, so of course, once again, a pilot from the Resistance, which is the military outfit for the Republic, had a map, or part of a map, to lead to Luke Skywalker. Because apparently Luke Skywalker left the New Republic, and the reason for that was because of the fact that he was training Han Solo's and Princess Leia's son, whose name is Ben, named after, of course, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and apparently Ben got seduced by the dark side by his character named Snoke, who you do see in the film. You don't see him getting seduced to the dark side, you just see, he got seduced. And of course, because Luke failed in his mission of not having Ben turn to the dark side, he decided to quit because he turned to the dark side and decided to quit, like Yoda did at the end of Episode 3 when he when Yoda fought the Emperor and got his butt kicked and decided to go into exile. That's what Luke did. I'm not saying they had a fight like Yoda did with the Emperor, but he said after his nephew was turned to the dark side, Luke decided to quit. He's in exile somewhere. So they were looking for Luke, and then meanwhile they had this whole other side adventure afterwards, because the pilot was captured by the First Order, and this Finn, the stormtrooper, who didn't like what they were doing, what the First Order was doing, so he decided to quit and help the pilot escape and free them, and they escaped to this planet named Jakku, which is a similar climate to what Tatooine was. A desert planet with all scavengers and everything else. And they escaped in a TIE fighter, and the TIE fighter crashed. And Finn thought that the pilot had died. They couldn't find him. Was spoiler, he lived, and you see him at the end of the film, and the big battle scene at the end of the movie. So anyway, Finn meets up with this other character named May, who is played by Daisy Ridley, who I think she has the potential of becoming a huge actress of the success of this film, because I think she was really great in this movie. She's great in the role, and she kicked major ass. And it looked like she was having fun with the role. And together, Finn was with the droid, and the new droid, and the new R2-D2, BB-8, who was like two balls on top of each other, rolling down through the desert. And it's just like R2-D2, except it doesn't have the legs, and instead of gliding across or rolling along the thing, or like rolling, like maybe there's two balls on top of each other. And it says, we gotta get this droid back to the Resistance. So of course, actually, the First Order is looking for this droid, kind of like what happened in the first movie, in the original movie, Episode 4. So again, they are rehashing a lot of the stuff that was in the original trilogy. Again, they're looking for the First Order, or the evil Empire, looking for the droids. They had the secret plans to find Luke. But then it turns into destroying the new weapon that the First Order has, destroying planets. And even at one point, there was the characters, got another Death Star again. It's another Death Star. Come on, how many times are they going to make the Death Star? They even bring this up in the movie. So of course, what happens? Of course, they do destroy the new Death Star. But to escape the planet Jacko, uh, Ray and Finn steal the Millennium Falcon, which of course gets pulled into this much bigger ship, a la what happened in the first movie, the Princess Leia ship, and one the Star Destroyers. And I thought, they thought this garbage had flown for years. Meanwhile, the May was able to fly it, and the people who captured the Millennium Falcon just happened to be Han Solo and Chewie. And so, oh my God, you're Han Solo, the general from the rebellion. And they said, yeah, it's me. That was me. Yeah, and of course they helped Ray and Finn get back to the Resistance. Of course, they knew the Princess Leia was now a general, as part of the Resistance, and so they got the plans back and they got the map back, and they found out what they were going to do, or the First Order was going to do with this new weapon. So of course, what happens is Han, Chewie, Finn, and May, they all get, because Ray eventually gets captured by Kylo Ren, who is of course actually like I said earlier, the son of Princess Leia and Han Solo. And of course, Kylo Ren finds out that Rey actually has the Force with her. She's not trained as a Jedi, but she is strong with the Force. And so the Supreme Leader Snoke says, "Hey, if this girl gets trained, eventually gets trained as a Jedi, she's going to, bump us off. So we can't have that. Similar themes to Empire Strikes Back, and that particular plot point. So of course, what happens? Of course, when Han does confront his son, Kylo Ren, and says, "Look, again, another theme that's in the first 6 movies, the still good in you theme. They have it with Anakin throughout the whole Anakin Skywalker through the whole and Darth Vader through the whole first 6 films. They brought that up again in this one, and so what Kylo Ren did, of course, is he killed Daddy. Yes, he killed Han Solo in this movie, which was a big shock. But the problem is that nobody mourned for Han Solo. He had no funeral for him. He didn't find his body afterwards. What happened was the Kylo Ren stabs Han Solo right through the gut with his lightsaber, and then Han Solo did was touch his face, and then he falls over the side of the catwalk they're on, and that was it. And then when that happens, Chewie, who was there, watched the whole thing. Instead of firing right away, when Han Solo dives over the side, he screams and then he starts shooting at Kylo Ren. And he does injure him. He shot Kylo Ren and injures him because he was bleeding like hanging on in the film. And of course, Rey and Finn both meet up with Kylo Ren afterwards because they both escaped the place, the base where they had this weapon, where the First Order had this weapon. So they both escape, and Kylo Ren follows them, and that's when you had the big lightsaber scene. First, Finn had the lightsaber and was dueling with Kylo Ren, and he gets his butt kicked. Finn does, and then of course Rey gets the lightsaber, which happened to be Luke Skywalker's lightsaber. And of course, that's when he had the big lightsaber fight between Rey and Kylo Ren, which was a great lightsaber fight. And it's one of the few, unlike what happened with Luke when he fought Darth Vader in Empire Strikes Back, where Luke started off great, but then eventually got his ass kicked with Darth Vader. In this case, it was not the case. This time, Rey kicked Kylo Ren's butt. And left the planet, and of course, Kylo Ren, of course, it's implied that he survives the lightsaber fight, but you don't really see him leaving the planet. Just sees him, lying there, knocked out. But Rey didn't kill him off, which happened in the sequels, when the main villain gets kicked off during the prequels. Didn't happen in this case. And of course, Princess Leia didn't even mourn for Han Solo in the end of this movie, which is of course one of the problems, which we're going to get to in a minute. Uh, of course, that's pretty much how and the movie ends. The last scene is after the big fight. Saying R2D2, Walker also a cameo by R2D2, says, "I know where to find Luke," and of course they connected the two maps because R2D2 had the full map, and BB-8 had the one little piece that was missing. So they combined the two maps and said, "Okay, here's where Luke is." So Rey, along with Chewie, in the Falcon, flying to the planet where Luke was. And you see Rey climbing up this mountain, and there's Luke just standing there in the rope. Similar in the scene from Star Trek 3, The Search for Spock, where Spock lives, and he just turns around and takes off the hood. And you see Luke, and he's there. He doesn't even say a word, unfortunately. And Rey holds up the lightsaber to Luke. Said, "Here's your lightsaber." Pretty much saying, "Here's your lightsaber back." And Luke just stands there looking at her, and he did a wide sweeping shot, and that's how the movie ends. Now, for me to get into what the problems were for this film, of course, the one problem is that this was the third time, 3 and 7 movies, where you had a Death Star as a plot point for the New Republic to destroy. I mean, they did that in Episode 4, they did it in Episode 6, and now in Episode 7, same plot point. The other point is that you had to think of Luke. Now, instead of looking for Luke throughout the whole movie, make that as an adventure by itself, or a film by itself. You get distracted by all this other stuff with Finn deserting the First Order. You had Rey, the scavenger. You have the new droid with the map of secret plans, and you have, of course, Kylo Ren, the son of Han and Leia, and you had Chewie making an appearance. You had C-3PO with a red arm, which is not explained why he has a different color arm than the rest of his body. That's never explained why. And of course, they said you use the same plot point in three of the 7 movies, the same plot point. I mean, if they do this again, if J.J. Abrams does it again, as if he's going to continue to direct, writing, at least co-writing, the other 2 parts, Episode 9, 8, and 9, if he uses the Death Star again, people going to really make fun of this series, like people haven't already. But of course, the major complaint that a lot of people have with Episode 7 was how old Carrie Fisher got. Because when the series first started, Carrie Fisher was a mega hottie. I have to say that. I mean, she was I think she was about 19 or 20 years old when the first Star Wars movie came out in 1977, and she was about 26 when Return of the Jedi came out, and of course there was, really famous for her being in that gold bikini. It really wasn't a slave girl outfit, but it actually was a gold bikini slave girl outfit when she was captured by Jabba the Hutt. So people expected Carrie Fisher to stay 26 years old for 30 years, or to stay that hot for 30 years. I mean, it's like people think that she wouldn't age in the 32 years said between Episode 6 and Episode 7. And when people saw her in the movies, oh my god, look how old she got! Look how old and fast she got! Oh my god! I mean, sometimes when I hear those complaints, especially from people online and other YouTube critics, and I haven't heard other many YouTube critics make that point with Carrie Fisher, but when I hear people complain how old Carrie Fisher got, even Carrie Fisher said, "You expect me to stay 26 forever?" Because people expected her to stay the same, the way she looked like in Return of the Jedi, for her to stay look exactly the same as she did in 1983 to 2016 or 2015 when the movie came out. And it's you expected to stay 26 for 32 years. No, the woman is 60 fucking years old here. It's bringing the city at 26 years old forever. Same thing with Harrison Ford. He looks much older, and of course, Harrison Ford did get his wish by being killed off. Because when they were making them Return of the Jedi, Harrison Ford said to George Lucas, "Look, when do you kill Han off? When do you kill him off? Kill him off in the beginning of the movie, and that way make Han sacrifice himself for the others in the group, for Han and Luke and Chewie and the rest, and Lando and everybody else. Then him make sacrifice himself for everybody else." And Lawrence Kasdan, who wrote Empire Strikes Back, felt the same way. Then make kill off somebody. We gotta have to kill somebody off. But George Lucas says no, he didn't want to do that, and Harrison Ford and Han Solo lived for the third film, Return of the Jedi. So of course for this film, since George Lucas is no longer in control of these movies, Han Solo, J.J. Abrams gave Han Solo his wish and killed him off. And he killed him off about 3/4 of the way through the film. And you didn't see no funeral for him. You didn't see Princess Leia look a little sad. Felt him die. Felt him die because she has giant powers too. She never used them in this movie, but she has powers too, and she didn't capitalize on any of that stuff. And that's what my problems were with The Force Awakens. But overall, it's not like I didn't enjoy the movie. I did enjoy the movie, but I felt it was like too similar to the original trilogy. Especially for the third, and they get mentioned a couple times already, for the third time they used the Death Star in this thing. That's my problem with this movie. It's like too similar to the original. They took parts of all three parts of the original trilogy and put it in what people liked about the original trilogy. J.J. Abrams put in this movie. So that's what I felt about it. I don't know about anybody else. So that's what I felt about it. It's too similar to the original trilogy for me. But I did like Daisy Ridley in this film. To me, she's the highlight of the film. And it was great seeing Han Luke, even though we saw Luke for like all 3 seconds. But it was a pleasure to see him playing Luke again. Hopefully he'll have a bigger role in the sequels, in episode 8 and episode 9, I hope. I thought Daisy Ridley was the highlight of the movie for me. And having a black character in there because people complained there was no black heroes except for Lando. So they put this black stormtrooper in there. But other than that, other than the problems I mentioned, I did in fact enjoy the movie. I do recommend it. It is an enjoyable film. And one thing that I did like that's really positive is that no CGI. The J.J. Abrams didn't overdo it with the CGI characters, like George Lucas did in the prequels. I think I only had like really one CGI character, which was a big cut down, and no Jar Jar Binks, which is another big plus. So that's my review of Star Wars Episode 7, Force Awakens. Please click on this video, please rate it, please subscribe to my channel, and please forward this video onto your Facebook pages. You can check out all of my videos not only on my YouTube channel, but at rallyc.com. That's the homepage of the Rally Reviewer. Chrisley Moore, check out all of his TV trash videos, plus all of his other content on his website. Thanks for watching. Catch you next time.